Welcome to another episode of FCS Delivered, where we know we're having fun because it already feels like the season is flying by. We're into October. I don't know where it's going, but I'm Craig Haley along with Gary Reasons, the Hall of Famer. Gary, where is the season going? I can't believe it's October.
Man, it has moved by pretty quickly, Craig, and good to be here. Good to be talking about college football. It's on us. It's here, and now we're into the conference races, which are really going to heat up, and we're seeing a lot of great activity. It's a blast.
Yeah, I mean, what a compelling opening full month of the season. It was September to remember with the surprise teams, the Dakota schools' dominance, and we'll tell the compelling story of ETSU, East Tennessee State, later in this episode. But Gary, let's first look back to a week ago, our FCS game of the week. UC Davis took down the number 4 team Idaho 28-26 in a thriller. It came down to a 2-point conversion. The Vandals were denied by UC Davis. This was certainly a game of the week that lived up to the billing.
It certainly was, and UC's quarterback Miles Hastings had a great day, 248 yards passing, and when you combine that with throwing 3 touchdown passes, they went into that game with a plan to take it from the Vandals, and it came down to that last play, Craig. And that's what you like to see in college football: competition, competing to the end of the game, and it took a chance to get a 2-point conversion for the Vandals to tie the game up to go into overtime, but it didn't happen. And UC Davis, congratulations to them. Huge win against the number 4 team in the country.
Yeah, I mean, as we know, Idaho's had some quarterback issues. Jack Lane from opening game was injured, and then Jack Wagner was knocked out of this game. That factors in when you lose your top 2 quarterbacks. But, UC Davis went out and won this game. Miles Hastings had one of his best games as an Aggie, 3 touchdown passes. They got Rex Connors back in the secondary was key. Just certainly a terrific game. But there was also another game that we talked about extensively last week out in the Big Sky. Montana won a 52-49 shootout at Eastern Washington on the red turf. Wow. You talk about a track meet. This was one, Gary.
It certainly was, and when you have a showing like that, and it's a hostile environment. You don't go into Eastern Washington and take a game. It's seemingly as easy as they did this one, but it was a tremendous win, and putting up 52 points is pretty impressive.
That's the typical Eastern Washington game, though, as we've come to learn. Now, Gary, I mean, another big event that happened last weekend, our 6th FCS over FBS win. That's a good number. It was UT Martin taking down Kennesaw State 24-13. Only 7 of these games remain, but this was certainly one to remember. Oshie Baker with the pick 6 to give him the lead in the third quarter. You have to be impressed here by UT Martin.
Yeah, I think that UT Martin has really come on this season. You see the body of work that they've done, and now they get this FBS win, Craig. It kind of puts them on level to be really, really competitive in conference. I look forward to seeing them throughout the season. Yeah,
and I tell you, all these big games certainly have an impact on our Stats Reform FCS Top 25 poll, which comes out on TheAnalyst.com every Monday. Now, in this week's poll, well, UC Davis was rewarded for that win over Idaho. They moved up 5 spots to number 9, just ahead of the Vandals. We had 3 newcomers: McNeese at 22, ETSU at 23, Northern Arizona at 25. Northern Arizona didn't have a vote a week earlier, and here they are in the poll after knocking off number 10 Sacramento State. I tell you, this poll is crazy towards the bottom of the top 25. It's pretty steady up top. North Dakota State has now been in the poll 193 straight times, just 2 shy of Montana's all-time record. That's inevitable here. Right now, they're number 2 behind South Dakota State. Now, Gary, we talked about this being a September to remember, and it's certainly, the poll each week is just a treat to see how teams rise or move around. I want to find out in this particular month, what team or two has most improved or most impressed you, to start the season?
Well, I look at the Southland Conference, Craig, and I see it quite a bit. And I want to talk about a team, the McNeese State Cowboys. McNeese, I think, has really returned to prominence. This is the first week that they have been in the top 25 poll since 2018, and so that's pretty impressive. I saw them; they defeated Weber State, a team that handily took care of my Northwestern State Demons, and I think that McNeese State is doing a great job. It's a good program. Their quarterback, Clifton McDowell, has really kind of set things on fire. He's leading in some of the FCS passing categories as a quarterback. And, he also runs the football well. And then they've got a good running back, Jashawn Barbie. And I think it's a solid backfield for the Cowboys. And, one of the things that's very difficult to do over time is win consistently against the Cowboys in their home stadium. And they're doing that because they're 4-0 at home. So I think that's fantastic for McNeese. And I think it's a really good story for the Southland Conference.
Yeah, I think, what a surprise to, go from 0-10 last year to already have 4 wins, be in the top 25 poll. Just phenomenal. Gary Goff is getting it done this year at McNeese. I think there's been impressive teams all around. I think, you still have to be impressed with Idaho, even though they just lost to UC Davis. Their schedule has been unbelievable. Playing it close with Oregon, beating Wyoming, an FBS win, Albany, Abilene Christian, those are top 25 wins, and then another top 25 game with UC Davis. And to do it without, your season opening quarterback, Jack Lane, phenomenal. I'd probably go with Mercer, one of the two 5-0 teams, along with Montana State. They have 2 ranked wins, just like Idaho. They beat Chattanooga and Wofford. Mike James is a first-year coach at Mercer. They're off this week, but wow, just a phenomenal job. Now, those teams have impressed us, Gary. Who would you say is a surprise so far?
Well, I'm going to stay in Texas, and I think that a team that has really surprised me from the UAC is Abilene Christian. They have gotten it done in a big way with their running back, Sam Hicks. He's done a great job, a couple hundred yards a week ago, 3 touchdowns versus Utah State. So, they get that kind of a win. That's something that's going to propel them. And they've got a good quarterback that can play, and that's Maverick McIver. And I think that with those 2 guys, if they stay healthy and that offense keeps churning, it can be a great season for ACU. So take a look at those Wildcats because I think they're coming.
Well, if you have a quarterback at the controls named Maverick, you're just destined for a big season now. I agree. Abilene's just been, lights out, playing tough schedule and doing well. You mentioned McNeese. Stony Brook's another team that has gone from 0-10 to 4 wins. They're only 4 spots outside our top 25 poll. That, what a job they've done under Billy Kosh, their new head coach. I'll give you one. SEMO, Southeast Missouri. To be 4-1 in a season after they lost their all-world running back, Geno Hess, it's a little bit of a surprise. They've played a tough schedule. Paxton D. Loren, as you know, is just an excellent quarterback. I'd consider them a surprise as well. They're right up there in the rankings. Now, Gary, I want to mention something else here in this first segment, and it's Tracer, the Tracer metric. Each week our producers, Seth Biley and Graham Bell, bring it to us. This week, Jordan Collins is subbing in for Graham Bell. We appreciate that. But Tracer here, it's a fascinating net efficiency metric. The acronym stands for team rating adjusted for competition and roster. This week, what a surprise. Not that North Dakota State has moved up to number 1 in our overall ranking in Tracer. Would you believe, surprise, surprise, William and Mary has moved up to the number 2 spot ahead of South Dakota, number 3. That's saying a lot for the Tribe, the way their season's going at 4-1. That probably caught you off guard that William and Mary is number 2 in our Tracer metric.
these are numbers, Craig. They're not plays on the field. So you got to leave it at that. Who is the competition and who are they doing that against? That's what's interesting about numbers and metrics and stats is you can take a position and you just have to measure it equally against competition and who they're going. Congratulations to William and Mary for having that metric to get you to number 2. But I don't think they're playing in the big sky right now, and so I think there's a little issue of who they're playing and how those metrics are delivered.
Well, they're number 11, the Tribe, in our stats performed FCS Top 25 poll. To be number 2 really is an eye opener. Now we also have a tracer offensive and defensive rating. Offensive, no surprise. North Dakota State and their fine quarterback Cam Miller is number 1. Defensive tracer number 1 right now is South Dakota. The Coyotes, they're having a great year. They're number 4 in our top 25 poll. Just another way to look at the season. I want to keep you on your toes, Gary, if the Tribe are number 2 ahead of South Dakota State. Now, Gary, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to go visit with our FCS National Awards on campus and your visit to a special place this week. This is FCS Delivered.
Bring rings to beach wedding.
FedEx presents Tall Tales of True Deliveries.
Just another day on the job.
We did this for love. See what we can do for your business. FedEx.
Welcome back to FCS Delivered, our second segment, Gary Reasons. This is a big one. Gary goes out each week for FCS National Awards on campus. Each Monday on TheAnalyst.com, 7 weekly awards. 2 of them new this year with our partnership with Urban Edge Network and the HBCU Plus streaming service. Now, we hope each week you're looking at Gary's visits on our FCS on campus page. You can find it on TheAnalyst.com. The videos are just a highlight to me. These interviews Gary does with the players that he visits. Now, Gary, tell us where and who you visited this week.
Well, I got to go to Tennessee, the state of Tennessee. We flew into Knoxville and drove a couple of hours northeast to Johnson City, Tennessee, the home of East Tennessee State University. You got it right there, the Buccaneers. Boy, I tell you, that team went through a really, really tough thing this past week, and a lot of perseverance. They had a long bus ride. They had issues with the hurricane getting to the game itself. We'll talk a little bit more about them, but this campus and this program is really coming on now. Tre Lamb is the new head coach there, and he has got them positioned well for this season. And they're playing very hard. They're playing very well. They came off a big win against the Citadel this past week, and that was our national team of the week. And so I think that this program is really primed for success. They've got some younger players that are developing, including their quarterback. So I think there's going to be a lot of good times ahead, Craig. We'll be talking about this team really, I think, the next 2 to 3 seasons because of what's happening there. And they've got talent. And so when you have those things coming together, it's really not hard to find these guys in the top of the rankings, going to be winning football games. You're going to see a lot of things, I think, from East Tennessee State University. And it was a pleasure to talk to the guys. Very receptive audience there. Had a chance to visit with them about some things. And I really like the program and how they practice. It's a real well-rounded group.
Well, a tremendous effort, guys. And East Tennessee State University, I'm here to present you as the National Team of the Week in the FCS. Go Buccaneers!
Tre Lamb there, the head coach. I tell you, he's a good young coach. One thing I learned about him, and you can see these in our interviews. We interview the head coach and some of the players, but I learned that Tre Lamb, Craig, is a scratch golfer. So you'll have to look at that interview to find out the rest of that story. But there's some good stuff that we uncover. I asked all the players a little fun question when we interview them, just to learn a little bit more about them personally. And boy, we've talked already about some video games. We've talked about different things, golf. So you never know what you're going to learn on FCS on campus.
That's for sure. I tell you, your Coach Lamb video, he used the word ordeal, which really stood out because that's what they did. They just got out of Johnson City on the road to Citadel, ran into road closings and just, the awful things that transpired with Hurricane Helene. Took them 14, 16 hours to get to the game site. What is the sense that he learned about his team, the sense you've gotten from talking to the team?
Well, I think he admires his team, and I think he understands what that could mean to them. And that's a galvanizing moment when you spend almost 18 hours together without any of the creature comforts that we've all take for granted every single day. When you're stranded, you do not know where you're going to go. Your bus is shut down. You can't go anywhere. It is really a tough thing to deal with. But that can be something that is pulling the team together. They went out and they handled business against the Citadel pretty well in that football game. And I think they're going to take that camaraderie, Craig, and it may be a galvanizing moment that propels them to further success. I've seen that happen before with other teams across different times. And I think that this might be just that to set Tre Lamb and his team in motion for good success.
Well, he certainly got it right when he came over from Gardner-Webb by bringing along Jalen King. His quarterback that he had last year was just a freshman a year ago. Here he is leading the Buccaneers. They're certainly ahead of schedule in the SoCon. Tremendous to see with East Tennessee State. So glad that this was your visit this week, Gary. I mean, obviously we have 7 award winners each week on TheAnalyst.com. Our stats reform offensive player of the week, Roland Dempster, running back Stony Brook. Theron Gaines from Tennessee Tech, the defensive end, was our defensive player of the week. Drake's kicker and punter, Shane Dunning, special teams player of the week. Drew Van Vliet, quarterback at Dayton, was our freshman of the week. Then we have our HBCU Plus Awards. Our player of the week was Edwin Summerer, defensive back from Alcorn State. And the Prairie View A&M Panthers, Gary, they beat Grambling State 36-34 in 5 overtimes. Longest FCS game in a couple years. They are our HBCU Plus National Team of the Week. Just a great week all around for FCS National Awards on campus. Again, you can visit our awards page on TheAnalyst.com. Just a great week overall, Gary. We're going to take another break, and when we come back to FCS Delivered, we're going to have our Week 6 Pick'em. Welcome back to our third segment of FCS Delivered, our Week 6 Pick'em segment, where a free dinner might be on the line because Gary and I don't see eye to eye on every game that we're picking this week. But let's start with our game of the week. It's number 7 North Dakota at number 2 North Dakota State in the Missouri Valley Conference. They're both 4-1. They're off to a 1-0 start in conference play. 3:30 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. Gary, this series dates to 1894, and believe it or not, North Dakota scored 49 points in beating NDSU last year. It was the most points the Bison have given up in their Division I era, which dates to 2004. What do you think of this matchup?
This is a heavyweight matchup. This is a game that really just comes down to, it's kind of like brother against brother in the backyard. You're going to get this game, and it's going to be on, game on time. And I love this kind of a football game. You got 2 teams that are exceptional, a couple of 4-1 football teams going against each other in the Fargo Dome, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be a loud environment there, and this is for all the marbles when you're in that state, because everybody knows each other seemingly, and everybody has a little take on either North Dakota or North Dakota State. And I think that this is something that is going to be fun. But really, when it comes down to it, I think that the home environment for North Dakota State, Craig, is probably going to be a little more in their favor and giving them an opportunity to do the things that they want to do, and really kind of the football team, that how they're built. And I think that they're going to kind of get things going the right way. You talked about their quarterback, Cam Miller. I think he is exceptional. He has come on this season. And then running back, Shamar Brown, he's done a good job running the football. 5 touchdowns already on the season and 66 yards on the ground. So I think those 2 combinations get that to it. You throw in Bryce Lamb, get it as a wide receiver. I think they have the tools to put them over the top here, but I do expect a very close ball game.
Yeah, we talked the surprising teams, the impressive teams in our first segment. I'm a little remiss for not mentioning North Dakota as one of the most impressive teams this year. They beat Montana. They scored 72 against Murray State, the most points in 96 years that they've scored. You know, they've really done a good job replacing, you know, their quarterback from last year. Simon Ramfo is just, you know, been terrific. He really has weapons. I'm impressed. I think you have to go with NDSU at home. You know, they usually beat top 10 opponents. It's easier said than done this year facing their rival, the Fighting Hawks. I'll go NDSU. Now let's go through some of our other games. We'll just go through the game, and you tell us who you like. We'll start with Southeast Missouri at Eastern Illinois in the Big South OVC.
You know, Craig, I'm going to go with the big upset here. I think that Eastern Illinois at home is finally going to get things together, and they're going to pull away a close win at home.
I'm going to stick with SEMO. I mean, I said they were one of my surprise teams. I think they can get it done on the road, but Eastern Illinois needs this in a big way. All right, Chattanooga at East Tennessee State. Obviously, the Buccaneers are just one of the stories of the year, what has transpired. Who do you like here?
Well, I can't go against the Bucs. You know, I was there and I saw it firsthand. I see the magic. I see everything that's going on there. I think them at home, it is a very, very tremendous stadium and environment to play a home team and a home game in. Everybody is right there. They've had great crowds and great support from the community. I think that's going to continue for ETSU, and I think they're going to take down Chattanooga.
Well, your videos reflect how great of an environment that stadium is. Now, the last two teams you visited, Weber State and Jackson State, after you visit them, they lost the following Saturday. I believe there's talk of a Gary Reason's jinx, so I'm going with Chattanooga in this one. Villanova at Stony Brook in CAA. Stony Brook, one of the surprise teams of the year. Villanova was the favorite in the CAA. Who do you like, Gary?
Pretty simply, I'm going to take the home team, Craig, here. I know Villanova's powerful. They're a big team, but I think that Stony Brook has really got the muster to get this win. It's going to be a tight one, but I'm going to pick those guys.
I'm going to go with Villanova. I think it's a road week. I'm picking the Wildcats to get it done. All right, Florida A&M at Alabama State in the SWAC. Florida A&M, they didn't play last week because of Hurricane Helene. Just went right around Tallahassee. What do you like here?
I think that Florida A&M is going to find themselves a little bit. They kind of faltered mid-season here to get after their quick start, but I think that Florida A&M is definitely going to get this ball game.
How about Central Arkansas at Abilene Christian? That is a huge game in UAC. Abilene Christian's on top at 2-0 in the conference.
Well, I think that both of these teams are really neck and neck as far as what they've done to start the season, how both teams have started so well to begin their conference play. And I think that this is just one of those games, Craig, that I think at the end of the day, Abilene Christian at home is going to win this one. We talked about a couple of their players earlier in this podcast. I think that they're strong enough to get this W at home.
I'll go with Abilene as well. I think they're going to get it done here. One more game here. Number 1, South Dakota State, coming off a bye. They're at Northern Iowa. Northern Iowa gives them a tough game every year. It's usually close. Northern Iowa has won some. Are you picking against the Jackrabbits this time?
Can't say that I need to go there, Craig. I think I'm going to have to take South Dakota State here in this one. This is definitely a chance to get a big win for them, and let's just roll with the Jackrabbits. Picked against them when McNeese went down there, when they went down to see McNeese, and it didn't happen so well. So Jackrabbits all the way here. Social
media will never let you forget that pick, Gary. I'm going to go with South Dakota State too. I think that, coming off a bye, they are revved up for this one. Now, Gary, that brings a close to this week's FCS Delivered. It's been a great time seeing your visit to ETSU. Great job by the Buccaneers, the adversity they overcame, and just, what a storyline they had. You must be looking forward to this slate of games, Gary.
Yeah, it's a good week. We got a bunch of games here. We've lined up a bunch of them here. Hopefully you guys will find some fun in each of them. And hey, if we're wrong, let us know. Comment on our videos and comment on all the different content that we have out there. It's fun. We enjoy it. We're trying to shine a brighter spotlight on FCS football, and hope you guys enjoy it.
We do get some wrong sometimes, that's for sure. Well, this is we appreciate everybody tuning in this week and listening to our podcast. We will be back next week at this time for another episode of FCS Delivered. Enjoy the week.